On page 99, we're on section 1.4. Okay, on page 99, on section 1.4, we're going to talk about piecework. And what that means is that certain jobs out there pay you for the amount of things that you produce. So, for instance, one of the first years I was teaching, some friends of mine used to work for Henson's Taxidermy. And what they would do during deer season is, all the deer hunters would bring in their hides, they would do their deer tails for them and get a quarter per tail. And what they mean is they would take the deer tails and make like keychains or whatever out of them. But every tail that they did, or every one, they would get a quarter per one. They would do a couple thousand a night, but every one they did was worth a quarter. So that's what piecework is doing. Is there any other jobs that you can think about that you get paid for the amount of things you produce? Huh? A realtor might be one, because of the fact that it depends on how many times they sell their house. Anything else? Farmer. Depending on the amount of acres that they have. Right now they're going like crazy to harvest, right? Not good.
You heard of that munchie tax?
The what?
The munchies tax or something?
No.
It comes into my job to pick up orders, and they get paid for how many orders they do.
Okay. So that's a piecework thing, right?
They don't do an order a day.
Yeah. A lot of things are like that where it's piecewise. If you do your own stuff, like some of you might be into crafting or whatever. Those guys that have like the big arts and crafts fairs or whatever that they have, usually it's called the big one or whatever, like in November, right before Christmas. All those people selling their individual like woodwork or quilts or whatever like that, that's all piecework. You don't get paid for your time that you put in it. You put a price on it, and if it's sold, you get paid. If it doesn't sell, you don't get paid. But that's a kind of another thing about piecework. On 99, it says some jobs pay you a piecework basis. So when you receive a specified amount of money for each item of work that you complete. And to calculate this, here's your formula for it. Your total pay is going to be equal to the rate per item multiplied by the number of items produced. So, as my example I led off with when I said that they would get a quarter per deer tail, the quarter is the rate. That would be how much you're getting paid. And if they did a couple thousand in a night, how much money would they have? That's what it would refer to. So for my example, if I took 25 cents multiplied by 2,000, how much money did they get paid? What's a quarter? So 0.25 times by 2,000. 500? So they got 500 each night by doing those deer tails. Okay, now I don't think it was a quarter. I'm giving it inflation. I think it was like a nickel probably or 10 cents a piece. So it wasn't quite that much, but it was extra money that they would just go and do. Okay? So that's that example of that. Like Trey was mentioning, the Munchies taxi, if they do, let's say they get, and I don't even know how much they get, let's say, but they're $10 per because it's a delivery service, right? And let's say you did 20 orders that night. What's 10 times 20? 200. So they would get $200 for driving around and dropping off food to people, right? Hey, does that make sense how this is going to work today? A little bit easier than some of the overtime stuff that we've had, I told you the time card one was going to be the hard one. So if you look on the bottom of page 99, it says that we get $3.20 per item, and we produced 140 items. How much do I get paid? $4.48? Number 2, I get 15 cents an item but I produced 1,494 of them. How much money do I get? $2.24 and 10 cents. How are we doing? So far, so good? Now, another job that might be piece-wise is some of you guys might have aspirations of doing this. Any of you ever want to become a mechanic? Darrell, eventually, do you want to own your own shop? Okay. So you tell me this. If I do a brake job, or if you do a brake job, Darrell, and a battery or whatnot, you'd have probably two different rates, aren't you? Some of the problems might do that for you, where it might say you get X amount of dollars for doing a battery, as compared to X amount of dollars for a brake job, and then you did like 10 brake jobs here and 2 batteries there. Would you get paid different rates? Yeah. So I would make sure that you are careful in your reading as far as how it's worded, because sometimes these things get a little tricky when it has 2 different rates for different things. It even talks about it on number 10, where it's talking about oil changes versus tune-up services. And it tells you how much you get different rates for the different jobs that you do. So be very careful. Make sure you read the question carefully, per usual. What? Does anybody have any questions as far as how to calculate the answer? Are you guys okay with this? Yeah? Okay. So, on page 99 to 100, 1 through 10. Sure.
1 through what? Sorry. McKinley, stop.
From when?
I don't remember if I turned it in on Friday.
You did.
Okay, I'll look.
All right, thank you.